Frame one.
Frame one. We are back with another episode of Kangz Council, episode 14. Welcome everyone to the podcast that seems that it's gonna form its own game studio eventually. With that being said, I'm introducing my co-host here, the man who is currently petitioning to have 1-800 Big Beef as a monster in Monster Hunter Wilds. Got despair. And then once you take this guy out, he's always coming back with a Zenkai boost. Folly of dreams.
Yo, what's up?
And then it's me, your boy, who is proud to announce that he's 95% done with his mental health development. All right.
You're almost done with FF16 after 80 years.
80 years.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is a deep cut on the development cycle. But speaking of cut, we're gonna cut to the development of game studios. So what we got going on here is we have Stig Augnason of
Godlike.
formerly of who is it? He was the EA. He was with EA doing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Star Wars I'm blanking on the name of the game, Fallen Order. So
Jedi Survivor,
he has
Fallen Order,
he also did God of War 3. He directed God of War 3. Which was probably one of the best games in the franchise, to be honest. Like a lot of people kind of switch between 2 and 3. He was also there for 2. He was part of that development team as well. He is announcing a new studio that is called Giant Skull. But with that being said, it was like the week of new studios, because those who also are part of id Studios and Activision announced a studio called Empty Vessel. So we got these new studios, and I'm taking a shot in the dark. This is pure speculation to say that this is just all part of all of those talented devs that have been laid off recently, saying like, let's just do our own fucking thing. And they're coming together and they're making these talented. I'm excited for what these studios are going to produce. What do you guys think?
I am too, but it's 50-50, right? It's like, I'm all for this because I'm so tired of this direction that games have been going, where everything is just AAA or it's AAA or bust from these big like publishers, especially Sony and whatever, right? But I feel like once people start leaving, once people start branching off, making their own shit, it's hard to gauge what's gonna happen, because they can either make a hit or a couple of hits, right? And they do well enough to, like, you know, make sequels, do whatever whatever games that they've been wanting to make that the publishers wouldn't allow them to make. But then it's like we've seen so many studios where people will leave, like the big publishers, they'll leave, they'll put out a game, and even if it does slightly okay, it's not enough to keep that studio afloat, right? And then they all just end up going to the fading away. So it's really it's supposed to be like a good thing, right? I guess when you hear like, oh man, these well-known developers, a few of them like that we know, right, from previous games that we've liked. Oh wow, cool, they're going off to make their own studio. Like in your average person's head, you would think, oh, that's great. Me, it leaves like a kind of like a negative feeling for me, because I'm like, so what are they gonna do? Like, hopefully the game that they make does well, or it's a wrap. Like, because you know what I think about? I always think about this shit. I always think about Platinum Games, bro. Every single time this happens, I always think about Platinum Games. Now, obviously, that's just one company, right? There have been companies that have went off and done their own thing. Actually, you know what? More recently, what's the studio that did what was the Dead Space? The game that was like Dead Space.
Volition.
Was
it Volition?
What was it?
No.
What was that game?
I think Volition was the one that originally did. Oh, Visceral
and it
games,
ran like
right?
crap
Visceral
on PC.
Callisto Protocol.
Callisto Protocol.
That's the game you're talking about.
Remember
that was the head of
and
the
how
former
that was
head
supposed
of.
to be, and how everyone was like, yeah, this is the Dead Space killer or whatever the hell. Like, yeah, this is the game that they wanted to make, and then it just didn't do well. I mean, I don't even know if I'm sure it sold well, maybe. I don't know. But I haven't even heard anything from them. Like,
I think it might have sold well, like before the game got released, and then the word of mouth got around, and then
Striking Distance Studios was the new studio, but it was Glenn Schofield from formerly Visceral Games. Yeah,
and I think about stuff like that. I think about Platinum Games, where Platinum Games, Platinum is like the most coin flip studio of all time, bro. And I love them. Like, I love those guys, right?
Yeah.
They gave me some of my favorite games of all time. Bayo. Before they were Platinum, there was Okami. There was Beautiful Joe. There was, they've made really good shit. And then they come together. They make Platinum games. They give us Bayonetta, right? They give us Mad World. They give us fucking what else?
Mad World, man.
There's been a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of stuff.
That cover shooter. What do you call it?
Vanquish.
Vanquish.
Yeah, Vanquish. It's been a lot of stuff.
Didn't the same thing
between those, like Wonderful 101? What happened?
I was gonna say, didn't the same thing happen with Vince Zampella? Remember when they left Infinity Ward and created
isn't that Respawn?
Respawn, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And then
but
they like
leave Respawn too.
I think he's still at Respawn actually.
Yeah, and then
but there was also some other heads that like, it's like a cycle of things that like it's this same cycle where it's like heads of studios or talented devs, right? They're like leaving and creating their own studios, and it's like it's always like sometimes they have bangers.
I don't think he left to make his own studio. I think EA paid for him to do all that. They gave him the means and the funds to come work at EA.
Yeah, because it was acquired. Right? Respawn was acquired by EA, but I think that whole story with Infinity Ward, like the other two heads, didn't they go off and do something else? And there was, what was it? I can't remember. Yeah,
but like,
there's a lot.
So like, the point I was trying to make is like Platinum gave us all those great games, and then in between all those games, it's been a flop. It's been like a flop. It's a good game. It's a flop. It's a good game. It's a flop. It's a good game. Now Platinum is lucky because a lot of the time, you make a flop, it's over for you. Well, in this industry right now, and at this moment in time, you make a flop, it's over. Like everyone's getting laid off, studios getting closed, or whatever. It's over. But Platinum has been around for a while, right? It's a Japanese company, so it's kind of different. So, but that's the example I always think of, because Platinum right now is they kind of struggling, and I love them, right? But they not really firing off like they used to fire off. So whenever I think of like people going off and making their own studio, I just hope that they're able to, make whatever game that they initially wanted to make, or make whatever games that you initially wanted to make that you couldn't make under Sony or under Microsoft or Activision or whatever. And I just hope they succeed, man, because it's rough, especially right now. Could you imagine going off and then making your own studio right now and thinking about how you're going to keep your company and your studio afloat for the next decade or two? Let's just say decade, the next 10 years. Shit, let's say the next 2 years, because you never know what the fuck is going to happen. Like, so that shit's rough, man. But hey, if you're passionate and you're creative enough, you can make it work, right? You know what I think about? What's my fault? What's that studio that Activision? It was Activision had it, and then Microsoft acquired it, and then they left once Microsoft. Toys for Bob, right? I don't know if Toys for Bob gave me one of my favorite platformers of all time. Shout out to Crash Bandicoot 4. If you didn't play that game and you like platformers, you suck. Just saying. Like, Crash Bandicoot 4 was so good, right? And you know what was crazy to me? That game was so good that I was like, okay, this is the beginning of a new era of like Crash Bandicoot platformers, maybe Spyro, right? We're gonna get all this shit that Activision just held dormant forever. And then they get acquired, and then Activision's like, we're gonna dissolve you guys. We're gonna make you guys work on Call of Duty. They basically just consolidated all their fucking teams that were making smaller games and said, oh, you're all just going to work on Call of Duty now. You're just going to join the Call of Duty cogwheel now. Then Microsoft acquired them, and then I think they left.
Yeah, they just went indie 2 weeks ago.
So what's happened to Crash, bro? Now, anyway, that's beside the point.
They can't work on Crash.
Well, they probably don't own.
They can't work on Crash because they're not. They don't.
Because they don't have the license.
Can't unless they get fucking.
They could make a Crash substitute, Mighty Number 9.
If they get contracted to do it, which they probably won't, since I'm 9 times out of 10, I don't know how it is, but I'm sure there's some some like feelings when people leave a company, right? I'm sure like the people at the company still are like, yeah, we're not gonna contract them to do anything else. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And this is why I always think about Platinum, because we always talk about how, man, I want Okami 2, want Beautiful Joe 3, right? I want Platinum Games to make like their old shit. But then you think about how like they probably have a crazy ass, Capcom has a crazy ass grudge against these motherfuckers. I guarantee. There has to be some type of bad blood, right? Like I feel like there has to be. But that's just me being, I guess, the confrontational person that I am. If I were to leave a company, I would assume that they wouldn't want to work with me anymore.
Bro, this is the company that made a Mega Man game without like even like they didn't give a fuck about Mega Man game. But just based on the fact that someone like the creator was trying to make their own quote unquote Mega Man game, they're like, nah, the hell out of here. Mega Man 11. Then we got the best Mega Man game ever. And then
they were like, Inafune? Who's that? I don't know who that is.
Well, like, to be fair, that man got deleted literally after that game.
Did he really? After Mighty Number 9?
Mighty Number 9.
What the fuck? What has he done,
bro? That's crazy.
What has he done since?
One of the original Kickstarter scams.
I just know it was funny.
Me neither.
Like, that's what I thought Capcom. I always think Capcom is not even just Capcom, just companies in general. When somebody leaves, I feel like, let me not say leaves, right? If you get laid off, look, if you lay me off, I'm definitely not working for you no more. All right, let me stop. That's just me being petty.
Real talk. But, do you guys think like Nintendo's that salty?
No.
Like,
no.
Okay.
Actually, wait a minute. Yes. Hell yeah, I think Nintendo's that salty. You know why? But then I think that's just the Japanese culture is very. I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like
it's like a loyalty thing. Like, how dare you leave us?
I feel like they can be vindictive. Like, I don't know. I'm not in Japan. I can't speak for that. I'm sure somebody else knows more than me, but I feel like there's some like vindictive shit going on when that happens.
Right.
So I don't
some
know.
kind of honor system going on there.
Like, oh, you want to leave and then make a Bayonetta? But we got that's why Devil May Cry 5 was so good. I'm telling y'all. I guarantee that is why Devil May Cry 5 was so good, because that competition, right? They saw Bayonetta 2 Bayonetta 2 changed the game, right? That shit got so much like acclaim that Capcom was probably like, man, shut those guys up over there. Make Devil May Cry 5 godlike.
Same thing with Mega Man 11, right? Like, there was like, Mighty Number 9's coming out. Here's fucking Mega Man 11, which is super good.
Because you notice beforehand, they didn't give a fuck about. I mean, they haven't given a fuck about Mega Man since.
So like, give a fuck about Mega Man.
They'll just crush our hearts every week by showcasing Mega Man stuff on a billion other games. But never mind.
No, I feel you. But like, back to the point, like, I just, oh man, that's why I always have like that negative feeling when it comes to people leaving their publishers and then making their own studio. Sometimes you have to. Obviously, you get laid off. What are you gonna do, right? But I just want, like, God of War 3 was one of my favorite. I know everyone loves the new God of War reboots or whatever, but God of War 3 to me was peak. God of War 2 and 3 to me are still the best games in the entire series. No one's telling me otherwise. Sorry.
Agree.
Like, yeah, the story's great, but the gameplay to me is not the same. The gameplay to me is what made God of War 2 and 3 phenomenal. The gameplay, the puzzles, the gameplay was what made those games to me. And as we started moving forward, like we always say with Sony, we started moving forward with this AAA mindset where everything has to have like we need like 50 different people working on the game script for the story, which is fine, right? We need to make sure that it has like the dopest looking graphics ever, which is fine. But I feel like they always miss out on the gameplay. Like, I don't care about The Last of Us because I don't like the gameplay, right? I like God of War, but I personally feel like I only enjoy okay, look, they're good games. They're great games. But me personally, I feel like I only get so excited for them because I originally liked God of War anyway, right? I like Kratos, and seeing that character develop was what made me enjoy those games more than I feel like I would have if they weren't God of War games.
Yeah.
If those weren't God of War games, I don't think I would have liked them as much as I did, right? So Sony has like this thing where they want to push AAA, whatever, and God, I'm getting tired of talking about that. I'm getting depressed now. I'm getting depressed now because I don't want games to go in this direction, bro. But yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
I was just gonna say on the whole thing. making a good game, and it's very similar to like trying to make a good movie. I'm pretty sure no one sets out to make a bad game or a bad movie.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
you know what I mean? But there's just a lot of elements that need to go together. You could have the best talent in the world, but if they don't get along, or if this, or they don't agree creatively, or if they don't synergize, or if management's messing with them, or you go over budget, under budget. There's so many elements in how like people, the greatest talent can set out to make a game, but it's not necessarily a guaranteed success. So
you know what I want? I want the old, well, I can't even say the old days, right? Because the old days were still people trying to come out on top, right? Everyone was trying to make the next, everyone was trying to make the next Mario game. Everybody was trying to make the next hit, right? Everyone was trying to make the next GTA and the next Crash Bandicoot. The next, whatever was hot at the time, everyone was trying to compete and make the next good thing, right? So I can't say it wasn't always like this, but I feel like since gaming was so new, right? This was before it was mainstream. This was before everyone had like expectations, right? We were able to see way more creative things going on. So, and I feel like that's because there weren't more players in the game, but there were more fresh players in the game, if you get what I'm saying. Like back in the day, there was a new studio like every fucking other month. And then, you know, either Sony would pick them up, Microsoft would pick them up, Nintendo will pick them up, like Monolith. Like these guys, some of these studios have been around for a while. They just weren't relevant, right? Vanillaware, right? Like a lot of these, I want more studios like that, which is why that's the positive side of devs going off and making their own studios, is that maybe they'll make some niche, not niche, but maybe they'll make some an indie game that takes off somewhere like Hades or I don't want to call Ori an indie game, right? Because that definitely had some, you know, Microsoft behind it. But games like Stellar Blade, games like you know, just random games from random studios that we wouldn't expect, that aren't the typical AAA budget games from fucking Sony. And I don't even want to say Microsoft, because I feel like Microsoft gets the picture now, right? I don't know, but that's the other side of the coin, where it's like, I hope they just make a good game that's creative, that you've quote unquote wanted to make or whatever. But here's another negative, right? Now, so how many times have you seen these studios? They go off and they say, yeah, now we have the creative freedom to do whatever we want, whatever. Now that we're not under the constraints of this and that. And then they go off and make like the same type of game. Like they literally go and make the same type of game. And they're like, wait a minute, I thought you said you wanted to make something different. This is the same shit you just made with a different name under a different publisher or whatever, right? Like,
are you talking about like
the same shit?
I thought you were talking about Bungie.
Well, yeah, Bungie too. But Bungie's different because, you know, Sony was like, yeah, you got to make us a first-person shooter like you made for fucking Xbox, right? You know, they did that shit. Sony definitely did that. But actually, no, I can't say that because what the fuck is Marathon? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I just feel like sometimes this is bullshit, bro. Like, it's like they think about it, they go into the boardroom and they're like, yeah, let's make this crazy-ass, random, silly game that we always wanted to make. And then someone comes in like, yeah, that's not gonna make us any money. Let's just make another first-person shooter or some shit like that. And then you end up being the product of what you hated anyway. I was like, I don't know. It's so weird, man.
Man. Look, I don't know about you guys, but I have been a company that, like, it was kind of mom and pop before it went corporate. And it's like, man,
and then you watch it turn into what they hated.
You see the place turn, yes. You watch the place slowly turn soulless. Whereas like everything was kind of like open door policies.
Yeah,
and
the
like
mom and pop shops be like, yeah, we're gonna keep shit our way. We're not gonna fucking conform to this and that. And then the money starts coming in.
4 months going in. Next thing you know, like, the boss's door, the boss's door is closed. They don't even serve any lunch anymore. There's no water.
Yeah, but sometimes you kind of have to do that, right? Because you got to keep fucking bread on the table. You got to keep roofs over people's heads. You got to pay people. So sometimes you don't have a choice. But I always find that funny though. Like they went and made Callisto Protocol, and I'm like,
it's the same shit.
Just not made something different. And then the Dead Space remake came out, and it was good. It was like, did y'all really have to do that? I feel like they just put themselves in the dirt with that one. But whatever.
Yeah. Did those games come out around the same time? Am I wrong on that?
Yes, they came out within a month of each other.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Callisto Protocol came out in December, if I'm not mistaken. And Dead Space came out in January.
Damn.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like again, like I said, you can always have the best of intentions.
And I guarantee EA did that shit on purpose. I guarantee they did that shit on purpose. They were like, "Oh yeah, y'all want to fucking this? I mean, y'all want to do this? The game y'all want to play? All right, Dead Space come out a month later, like, and it just happened to be the better game. That's unfortunate.
Maybe we just need game companies to just be salty all the time.
We do, because we've gotten the best games when they've been under pressure.
It's true.
Like, isn't that how it always works creatively? When you're under pressure, that's when you're the most
creative. Yeah, unfortunately, in the case of Callisto Protocol, they didn't make a new Dead Space iteration. They did Dead Space remake, which is like, yeah, it was good. I played it. It was fantastic, but
it was better than Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, it was better than Callisto Protocol, to be honest. But I think that's what they were shooting for, because it wasn't something new. Where in the case of Inafune, it was like Mega Man 11 is this whole new game, right? I just think like yeah, it's weird when they do similar things, but it's also like if that's where your talent lies, right? Like that you do what you're good at. But in the case of like, I think Stig is one of those like exceptions, because if you look at like his resume and you look at like God of War 3 and then you look at Jedi Fallen Order, that's like a completely different game. And I just think there's a lot of talent.
I think third-person action games are pretty similar. Obviously not
third-person action, but like not gameplay wise. But I also think it's more of a, I think, to attest to your point, Despair, where it's just like there's always that concern where it's just like, are they gonna release flops? Maybe they'll release a couple of bangers, but there's probably flops. I think it all depends on leadership and who is the lead, right? With Stig, it's like that next studio, whatever they release, is probably going to be a banger, because he probably just got tired of he probably got tired of all the influx. Because the thing is, you're also working with a Star Wars game, right? Yeah. Which in working with Star Wars in the franchise and the game, it's like it's working with Disney, it's working with a lot of those restrictions, you know?
He has all those games were good. Despite, Jedi Survivor running like ass.
Despite bugs and performance issues, the game is really good.
Fallen Order was godlike. Yeah. So, God of War 3, like I said, was one of my favorite games. Mm-hmm. So like, but the thing is, right? I've trusted developers before, and then see them go off and do their own thing, and the thing that they make is ass. Right?
Because they didn't have someone railing them back in, right?
Again.
Let me not say
you don't want to get hurt again.
Not ass.
Let me just say ass, but it doesn't live up to their previous shit.
They just didn't get reeled. They just didn't get reeled in and focused by, like a publisher that would do something like that, right? Like it's just like, here's what you got to do, right? Here's what you're contracted to do. Just focus on that. Right, when they go off on their own and they do their own, I think the only person who's been able to go off on their own and do that shit is like Kojima, right? Like,
this is gonna sound so bad, but no, even Kojima.
I'm gonna say
the same thing. This applies to Kojima too. These motherfuckers need a leash, because somebody like the most creative people. Like I know me personally, I know how I am, and if I don't have somebody that's like, yeah, don't do that, I'm gonna have ideas jump. I'm gonna have ideas bouncing off the fucking. I'm gonna have like a bunch of bouncy balls, and they're all just gonna be bouncing off the walls back and forth, just knocking everybody's brains out and doing all this crazy shit. Like,
AKA me.
I'm gonna need somebody to just be like, yo, all right, shut the fuck up, bro.
Like, all right, bro. So here's I like where you're going, but let's keep it here, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, bro. So y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, these people need, the most creative people need a leash, bro. So I feel like that might be why when these devs go off and make their own teams, sometimes they don't really succeed, because they don't have anybody to be like, no, that's not really a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, true. I kind of felt like the same way with like Christopher Nolan and stuff. In the beginning, he probably had a big leash, and then the Dark Knight came out, and then all of a sudden, because don't get me wrong, those movies cinematically perfectly made, right? But like if you really went deep dived in the writing. There's definitely some fucking plot holes going on there, and that like wild. I felt like otherwise, and then people knew, but they were just too scared to say something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you always need that.
I think that was the effect of like going from the Dark Knight to the Dark Knight Rises, right? Because the Dark Knight is quintessentially like probably one of the, if not the best Batman film to date, and then you got Dark Knight Rises, which comes out, that's the one that's full of plot holes and all kind of.
That was a good ass.
Yeah, it just is a good ass movie. Yeah. I was watching it earlier today.
Don't get me wrong. It's not a horrible movie, but like if you really were to deep dive, you know, there's definitely certain moments in that film you're like,
yeah.
How can, huh?
I can nitpick all day.
Yeah. I could definitely nitpick.
Yeah, I can nitpick all day, but I loved it and I saw it 4 times in theaters. So
No. I feel because like it cinematically, like you know, it's great. But like from a writing perspective, but you could just tell when creatives get more power that people are more afraid to speak truth. You know what I mean? And part of
like sorry,
like creating something.
Sucks.
Yeah, well that's like
some feedback that
I haven't seen it, but that's like Tenet, isn't it? Because everyone's like, what the fuck is going on, right? And everyone's just like, this is the greatest. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really speak on it. But you know what I mean? Like that's what I assume is the case. It's a watch. But then he got Oppenheimer. He totally redeems himself. Wins an Oscar, Best Picture. Let's go. I gotta watch that shit too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not in the mood to sit for like a 3-hour dialogue movie.
I say that, but I can watch fucking 30 episodes of anime in a row.
The thing is, I feel you on that, but it's just like I feel like I gotta prep myself because of the topic. It's like World War II. It's just like
it's heavy, man. That movie seems heavy as fuck.
And I just feel like especially with the stuff going on around the world, I'm like, I'm not gonna get political or anything like that. It's just kind of like I don't need to see a movie because we're going through it right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, but you know, good luck to these studios. But like what's this guy, Giant Skull? It doesn't look like they're gonna be independent for too much longer because they want to build a AAA single player action adventure, which to me is, I don't think they're gonna be able to do that like independently for that long. So someone's probably gonna scoop them.
I mean, you can probably do one.
If
everybody
game
gets one
and does well, then boom, there you go.
I mean, yeah,
but if it doesn't, you put that money into it, GG.
Yeah, you can have a success of like a Helldivers or a Pal World who is like so successful and getting so much money they don't know what to do with it.
That's so rare.
It's so rare. These are the outliers. These are the exceptions, not the example. You know what I mean?
Not the example. Yeah,
it's the hope and the dream, right? Like it's like the Michael Jordan of what you're shooting for, right?
Yeah, good luck.
Basically, that man hit the lottery or whoever that is. That
pretty
whole
much,
team. And they don't know what to do. They're literally in shock.
Shit, what he did is that's harder than hitting the fucking lottery.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But for those who are going for, like Fala said, best of luck. I look forward to whatever Stig Studio is going to be doing. I also look forward to Empty Vessel.
I want more devs that aren't attached to these giant publishers. That's all I want.
Exactly. Because it's like having their freedom, creative freedom, you know?
Every game I've played, let me say, obviously not every game, but the games that stood out to me the most in the past few years have been games that aren't even attached to like a Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo. It's been like these random third-party devs or just devs that I've never heard of before, or just not even like Devolver Digital, right? Like they've given me some crazy ass games that I've been like, damn, these I didn't expect to like this game, but I love it, right?
Or the people who made Sea of Stars.
Yeah. One of my favorite games of the past fucking 5 years is Neon White, and I never would have expected that game to be what it was, right? And that wasn't a fucking AAA game.
No.
Like, what is it? Fucking Baldur's Gate 3. That's just not attached to any fucking public. Like, obviously, of course, you know, fucking Microsoft went and gave them some money or whatever to put that shit on Game Pass or whatever, but that doesn't count. Like,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a lot of the games that I've cared about, like a lot, like bro, Stellar Blade comes out and I've never heard of this developer in my life.
Yeah.
That Wukong game that comes out this summer, new dev, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I want more. Give me more.
Definitely.
I want more new devs, not new devs, but new dev studios that aren't afraid to take risks and make shit that they want to make. You can tell the people that made Stellar Blade. Let's not talk about the quality of the game. The game could come out and it could be hot garbage, right?
Yeah.
But the way that they've like marketed the game, the way that they spoke about the game, seems like this is the game that they've been wanting. This is the game that they want to make. All right, so I'm all for that. The game can be trash, but I'm all for playing a game that seems like the developers actually gave a fuck about the game. Even Dragon's Dogma 2. Now, Capcom obviously is it's a third party dev, but they're known for making pretty good AAA games, right? So Dragon's Dogma doesn't really count, but it does for me because I never expected to get a sequel to Dragon's Dogma ever. So you could tell this is like a game.
It's a passion project.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Monster Hunter.
Thank you, Monster Hunter.
Exactly.
Thank you. RE4 now. RE4 remake. Thank you to that as well.
But we could say thank you, Monster Hunter, but you got to think about it this way, right? Any other company, a lot of other companies would have said, yeah, thank you, Monster Hunter. And just kept dumping out Monster Hunter every single year. Every single year, Monster Hunter.
Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're still making Monster Hunter.
No, that's not what I'm saying. They're not making it every single year. They're not saying, "Oh, you like Monster Hunter? Oh shit! All right."
They're not doing the Assassin's Creed or the fucking Call of Duty Activision.
Yeah, exactly. Like as soon as Assassin's Creed blew up, every year. As soon as COD blew up, every single year. Right? So
they got standard quality.
Well, you know, Capcom has that advantage that a lot of other devs don't necessarily have, where they have like 2 big money makers rather than one, so they could just focus on one and then give it a break.
Get a Final Fantasy game every single year, right?
Yeah.
Is Capcom the best right now?
No.
Do we think?
I don't want to give them
Capcom's
too
best?
much credit.
Japanese maybe.
Just think
if Dragon's Dogma is what it is, I mean, we will have
Are they the most consistent right now? Absolutely.
Absolutely. They haven't missed in a while. And you know, they used to miss. There was a turning point. RE7 was a turning point, right? Like I think right now, like, you know, not to get their heads too big, but I think they've been hitting out bangers.
I mean,
putting out quality.
The biggest flop is like Exo Primal. Yeah.
No, I'm thinking about like
it's absolutely the fucking turning
point. Yes, it was a turning point financially, but I think as far as quality, RE7.
I don't think so, because don't get me wrong, I love that game, but I don't know. I don't feel like they had faith in that game. Let me not say they didn't. Let me not say that. I don't think they like. Oh man, that game's perception wasn't that great compared to Village, right? I'm comparing it to Village because Village felt like what RE7 should have been to me, right? When RE7 came out, I don't know. I'm trying to. Then again, that was the first RE Engine game, right?
Yeah, I think that was the first RE Engine game. And I think they had tremendous faith in it because that was a heavy VR game. That was heavily developed from the ground up for VR. So they put a lot behind it.
And then
I feel like they knew. Let me rephrase. I feel like they threw that shit at the wall and they hoped it sticked, right? Because I don't think
it was a chance. It was their first big chance.
I think they knew that making it a first-person game was a risk.
Yes.
Having a new main character that we've never played with before is a risk, and clearly nobody liked him anyway. And like there were just a lot of things in that game that I felt like it was a coin flip. They were like, this is either gonna work or it's not. And from what I heard, didn't that game not sell too well? Well, it didn't sell up to standard when it came out.
I think it sold well in hindsight. Or
I can't comment.
After
In
years,
hindsight,
I think it sold well.
Yeah, in hindsight, of course. But I'm talking
think it sold well.
I don't think that game did well.
You know what it is? I think people got interested after hearing about the Kenshin demo. I think after they saw that Kenshin demo and playing it in VR, that's when people started like, oh, so
the VR craze kind of sold that. Quick question. This is a side point, but do you think that if that was not a RE branded game, would it have done as well?
No, I don't think so at all. Like look, let's be 100% honest.
No.
That's why I'm being 100% real. Yeah.
I'm an RE fan, just like everybody else. But if you take some of these games and you take away the RE name, a lot of people will not care. That's just how brand recognition works. Yeah. Like, if it's not titled Resident Evil, it's not gonna sell. Right? People might be interested. If you say, oh, from the makers of Resident Evil, shit, even if let's just say it's a completely brand new game that looks like Resident Evil, no one's gonna care. If it's not Resident Evil, no one's gonna care. People will buy it through word of mouth. If they hear it's good, whatever, they'll buy it, but it's not gonna be.
I mean, the closest that they've been is probably what, Dino Crisis? Probably the closest they've been.
Did Dino Crisis even sell like that compared to RE?
No,
I don't think so.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, so there you go. Like, it sucks, but remember, I say the same thing all the time. Remember DMC?
Yeah.
Like DMC only did well because it was called DMC. But the irony is that if the game wasn't called DMC, I feel like people would have.
That's the foot on the other boot. Yeah.
Yeah.
The boot on the other foot, I should say.
Yeah, because I think if it wasn't called DMC, I might have enjoyed it way more. But that's just me, because I just enjoy games anyway. I'm always interested in something different and new, whatever, right? But most people just want to know that, oh, this is from a series I trust. This is from a developer that I know, whatever, right? I'm gonna buy it. Oh, it's called Resident Evil? Okay, cool. I'm interested. So,
well,
bro, RE7, because let's be real. In hindsight, look at all the games now that look like RE7, that were inspired by that game, that look just like RE7, if not better sometimes. There's a lot of random ass horror games on Steam that look just like RE7.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So
it's very influential.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, that was a very divisive game when it came out. So
yeah, I think it caused a lot of what's the word?
Monster Hunter was very safe.
Yeah, like, Monster Hunter
just looked like the AAA version of the game that
everyone wanted.
Yeah.
Always wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was the one thing stopping me from playing Monster Hunter. Because I was like, they look kind of cool, but
yeah.
RE7 was like the start of the turning point, but Monster Hunter was definitely the catalyst. That shit.
It was like them saying,
shit.
Okay, like, we're doing new things. Like, but we're trying to, do new things. Monster Hunter just cemented it. Like, okay, we're good at making video games. like shit.
With that being said, you know who's not good at making video games anymore? The CEO over for Payday 3, who has left the company and said,
that's always funny news.
The Starbreeze CEO has exited the company after all of these months and the release of Payday 3 after it was completely unsuccessful. Currently sitting at an overwhelmingly negative score in Steam. It's so sad. At the same time, it's unfortunate. I think this is another case of because I feel like there are stories previously that the CEO was told, like, hey, you gotta change this, and it's like, oh, it's gonna be all right. Now it wasn't all right, and now he's out of there. Does this mean the game's gonna turn around?
Negative. No.
Yeah, it's hard to see an overwhelmingly negative on Steam. I don't think there's any hope in this game coming back.
The weird part is, Payday 2 had legs for years.
Yep.
And I'm pretty, from what I've heard, from what I've seen on like Steam reviews from like friends that I know that played it, it went up and down over the course of its lifespan. So it very well could have a turnaround, right? But is it likely? That's up to them, man. I don't know.
I feel like people are just gonna play Payday 2 and just forget about it.
Yeah, but it's weird, right? Because Payday 2, I heard. So this is the weird part. Payday 2, I heard, was really good. Like, I played it a bit. It was really good, right? It was fun. And then I started hearing that they started adding like random ass like microtransactions, doing all this crazy shit, ruining the game or whatever. And then that led into Payday 3. So people were probably already fed up with the bullshit and were like, oh yeah, we're not gonna play this game. Like, and then keep in mind the game didn't work when it fucking came out for like a month.
Yeah,
so,
I mean that's the biggest reason why it didn't succeed. Is like the game literally didn't work.
Yeah,
we wanted to play the game so bad. Yeah. Like we were down to like.
Everyone always talked about how good Payday 2 was, how dope it was. Like, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'll play Payday 3 when it comes out. Can't play it. So I was like, well, all that momentum, all that word of mouth, for what? So whatever. When it comes to shit like that, I feel like you had enough. Some devs should just know what to expect going in. Server issues happen, right? But you had a beta. You had 2 betas, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember, to get that shit sorted out, right? And I honestly don't even know what to tell. I don't even know what to say to shit like that, because you can't really prepare to have millions of people try to play your game, I guess, right? You never know how many people are gonna want to play or whatever, but you should still be prepared to deal with shit like that when it does happen, like ASAP. not charge fucking. How much was the game at? Was that game on Game Pass too? It's a
It
shame
was on
that
Game Pass.
it's on Game Pass. People still not fucking with it. But I'm looking at this shit right now. There's like hella DLC. I'm sure there's a bunch of microtransactions in game.
When you run a game, because they ran a beta, we played the beta.
Yeah, that barely worked.
When you run a beta, and there's issues in the beta, honestly, I think the rule of thumb would be like depending on how many players you have in the beta, and you're trying to accommodate for those like players server wise, I think you just double it. However many people you get that are interested in the beta, because those are people that are just going to try it out because they're interested in the game.
Yeah, and then
there's people that's just going to try it because it's free. I think they're just going to try it because they're interested. And then there's going to be those that are super hyped about it and can't wait for it to actually come out. But there's also going to be that crowd of people that is just like, I don't want to touch it until the game comes out, right? So I think you just double whatever numbers you get, or 0.23%, whatever 2/3%, 0.75%. Right, like you multiply, like that's what your expected player base is going to be, right? Like look at what other successful devs have done from from beta date to launch, right? Like what have they done server wise successfully? Like look at, I'm bringing them up again, but look at Capcom Street Fighter 6 beta was, you know, like super successful.
I mean,
and
we're well-known Capcom shills in here
as of right now because they're doing well. If they weren't doing well, I would absolutely shit on them. But as of right now, Capcom's, they're not missing, and when you don't miss, we give you your fucking flowers here, to be honest. But when you miss, you get shit on to do better.
I'm pretty sure like the issue was the game. First of all, the game didn't work at launch for a while, and then they started adding DLC like
for far too long.
Shit, paid DLC before they had even fixed the game. So people were like,
is the game even fixed now?
DLC? I have no idea. I heard it's dead. I heard it doesn't even matter now because no one's playing it. So
super unfortunate.
Fix it now.
A game that dropped on Game Pass too, so it should have a standard player base because people are just gonna play it, for free. There's several people who are just going to play Game Pass games because they're
it's always online.
Free.
So
always online DRM.
Somebody said the real heist was our wallets. Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
Shout out to that
That's
person.
Crazy. Yeah.
One of the key comments.
Well, I don't know if they could bounce back, but best of luck.
Somebody said I've been playing this game for 2 weeks and only have played 2 matches so far. Matchmaking is trash. Huh?
Oof.
The game actually starts getting better after you install it. Damn. That's wild. After you uninstall it.
After you uninstall it.
Yeah, that's wild.
Super
Crazy.
Unfortunate, right? Because 2 had so much community support, so much good faith in it, and that's what pulled us into the beta, and we liked the beta for what it was.
Reminds me of? Imagine all that word of mouth and hype that Persona 4 got, and then Persona 5 came out and it was garbage. Could you imagine?
Oh.
Could you imagine all that hype, all that build up, and the game comes out and it sucks? Sheesh. Or you just can't play it? Damn, somebody said Payday 2 is better. Just buy Payday 2. Damn.
Is Payday 2 still like running? Are people still playing that?
Pretty sure, yeah.
I'm pretty sure like everyone just like stopped playing this game and went back to the other end.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I mean, with the CEO exiting the company, I know they let a lot of decision making. Could potentially be like a Bobby Kotick situation where they're just like every poor decision this company's made was because it was on the back of this person, right? Maybe they could bring this game back now, but I think it's too much time.
The damage is
tank.
done.
Yeah, the damage is done. I think it's because any kind of substantial change you're gonna see is not gonna be for another 3 to 6 months from now. And by that time, like this game's already been out for like 6 months. Yeah, exactly. The game's already been out for 6 months and it's over.
You don't live in that age anymore where you can just randomly turn your game around. Unless you're a big name, like Cyberpunk was huge, so there was always news about it. People, it was
the studio behind No Man's Sky too, right? Like that, they're the main example of every kind of turnaround story. Because
but that game was always in your ear. Like that game was always in the back of people's minds because there was always news articles about it. People were always talking about it. Always
support, constant updates, constant news. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. We're not in that age anymore where you can just say, yeah, it'll be fixed later. Because you got new shit. Like I said, I spoke about it before where You have like new viral games dropping. Like Helldivers 2 came out. Nobody gives a fuck. Anybody gonna give a fuck about no Payday? Power World dropped. Nobody give a fuck about no Payday, right? Any new random first-person shooter or game like that can come out right now, and people will never remember what Payday was. Like, so I don't know. Unfortunate, man, because the concept is cool. There's not a lot of games like that. It just didn't work. Can't play it. You just couldn't play it.
And people want to play heist games, by the way.
Yeah.
People love heist games.
Yep.
Yeah. But speaking of games that you couldn't play at launch, boy, Star Wars Battlefront Collection. That bad boy. This is disappointing. This hurts. This hurts my heart.
This one hurts me like hard because look, they'll tell you every week. I was like, hey man, this shit is about to drop. Are we in there?
Yeah. And I was just like, I'll wait and see how it launches.
Exactly. That was my thing. I saw because they were promoting this game heavy on Steam with a discount instantly. You had like a 10% discount if you pre-ordered. Instead of paying $40, it was like $35. And it was just like, man, this is great, right? It was kind of great, like 64 player multiplayer maps. It just really seemed too good. And of course on launch, the game don't work.
The game,
the shit don't work. They released the game just to give you guys an idea. They launched the game on Steam with 3 servers hosting 100 and what was it, 3 times 64? Was it 180 something or 190 something players were only able to log in out of a launch of 9,000 people who tried to play the game on launch? Okay. Right? Who cleared that? Who okayed that? Who made that decision?
You really think there's not going to be like?
Did they not get pre-order numbers?
They really thought that, hey, no one's gonna buy this game. There's only gonna be like 200 people who's gonna buy this game.
Did they not get pre-order numbers, bro? To know how many people were gonna log on and play this game on launch? Did they not get that? I'm trying to understand where the ball was dropped.
This is when this is when cash grab is like the most negative. This is the most negative version of a cash grab for real. Because they got people bought it. They're like, oh, this shit trash. Boom. OG Battlefront 2 is $10.
And you're better off playing that shit.
Yep.
It's very unfortunate, but the best comment that I've ever seen about this is, how do you release an unfinished version of a game that's been finished for 20 years?
Bro, why? Like, who? I'm so confused because those games were great originally.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you not just repackage them and put them out? Add some more servers. Like, I know there's probably gonna be some bugs or whatever, but I don't. I'm not understanding how you can fuck up an old game. Obviously, I mean, of course, it's possible, right? We've seen it multiple times, but I don't even think it's who is it again? Aspire or whatever. I don't even think it's their fault, man. I feel like EA probably rushed them to make this shit or something. I don't know. It's like something happened. Something had to happen between them and EA.
To give some context, Aspire actually made some decent ports. So these are guys who are not like, you know, like Green in doing these kind of things. They're actually pretty good at porting stuff like that. I think they ported what were you saying before? They ported
I think they ported
the Tomb Raider.
They did the Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remaster recently, which is a fantastic fucking remaster.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really great. It's a completely opposite end of the spectrum. Like, these are games that are touted for being like the remake is great, right? Like, you can switch between old graphics and new graphics on the fly. Like, it's like, what a great port that is.
I don't understand. Like, look how they massacred my boy, man. Like.
And the thing is, like, people want to play these games, dude. Like, I'm like, my heart's like crying right now, because it's like all I want to do is just play with my boys, because regular Battlefield right now no one's on it.
Yeah, I wanted to buy this, and I'm
just
so
assume
mad.
that anything Battlefront related is just gonna suck from EA from now on.
Look, I know, but
it's so.
Because I don't think one Battlefront game has launched in a good state.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think one Star Wars game has launched in a good state. Period.
I think, yeah,
maybe, yeah.
I think that
Probably
might be
right.
true.
You know, please. All right, for whatever next Star Wars games that come out, just please, for the love of God, just let it work. just
let it work.
Please.
They're working on
the version of a game we already had.
I'm lowering my standards to at least please work. Just run.
Just run. It's just gonna be a title screen, and then that's
it. It sucks being a fan of this series. It really just sucks. It's like it's not. There's no enjoyment in this shit. It's just pain.
It's just pain. Because where do they go from here? They're not gonna make a Battlefront 3 because of the whole storm. And the only way they're ever gonna make a Battlefront 3 is if they start popping off new Star Wars movies and have more like things to add to it. Because Battlefront 2, listen, in all fairness, the end result was a great game. Initially, a lot of bullshit. The things that made that game bad was not the game. It was the microtransactions. There's a lot of pay to win and shit like that. But once that game got going and then they released content and everything like that, if you play that game now, if you play that game today, that Battlefront 2 is a fantastic game. The new versions. The old versions are also great. Battlefront 1 and 2, great. This collection, ass, trash. And then one of my favorite quotes about it or review is from Lorebagger, who said, "Broken. It's like the equivalent of finding your kid 20 years later and you see them hooked up on Fent while gooning in their basement."
You're not wrong. That's so accurate,
bro. It's so that's the epitome of disappointment, right? Like it's just the epitome of just disappointment, and it hurts. Sometimes disappointment hurts so bad. This hurts.
Too much.
This hurts. Yeah. Oh,
well,
man.
One less game I have to buy in a sea full of games that are out right now and coming out. So whatever.
This can be fixed though. In being optimistic,
this can be fixed. Game. It'll be fixed in a year.
It'll be fixed in a year. So when this game goes on, keep it on your wish list, fellas. When this game goes on sale, in about 6 months from now, and there's a big ass patch in 3 months from now, hopefully everything will be fixed and it should be good to go. But by that time the servers are going to be cooked.
or no one's going to play the game. Or no one's going to play the game, which was
Battlefront 1, amazing, a year later. Battlefront 2, amazing, a year later. Battlefront Collection, amazing, a year later. Battlefield, amazing, a year later. Like, none of these games launch right. Like, what the fuck is up with these guys? Like what are you doing?
It's super interesting. I used to be a Battlefield stan, and now that franchise is dead to me.
Like, what the fuck? What are you doing?
I'm not gonna lie. Battlefield is just dead to me. Like, they haven't released anything great. And you could say, hey, 2042, whatever, was great, like, now, but, like, bro, look at that shit on launch. I'm tired of
seeing that shit because I don't care now.
I don't care now, yeah. I cared on launch. I was hyped for that shit on launch. I was trying to get the homies to play on launch. And what happened? I had a free 10-hour trial. I played
I'm the kind of
7 hours of it and stopped playing.
If I don't play a game at launch when it's hype, I'll get back to it later. Maybe 3 years later when it's on sale.
Maybe never. Maybe never.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe never. Yeah.
Unless you get it for free.
That's the thing that hurts about this game, because it's like even when we're in the opportunity to play this game in a healthy state, no one's gonna be around to play it, which was the whole reason.
Nope.
Even if we wanted to go back, if we wanted to boot up Battlefront 2 right now and say like, hey, like let's play Battlefront 2, we can't get a game.
Right? I'm just gonna play the single player.
So
or we get a game as some fucking stan who just never got off the game for fucking 8 million years.
True, yeah, the sweats.
And that's just not fun either.
Of course, everything unlocked. Right, everything unlocked from the get go, and they're just fucking destroying you immediately. Oh.
This hurts, man. Let's move on. This hurts.
We can absolutely move on. And we will be moving on to the PS5 Pro. I know we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about this shit a ton on this channel if you've been following, and we've predicted a lot of what's going on. But what we're looking at now is some major leaks in the past couple days, and leaks that are so hard that it's just like, hey, holiday season 2024, expect this thing to launch. Right? Like,
just remember, in the words of our wise TikTok commenters, it's suicide to launch a console every 2, 3, or 4 years. Meanwhile, they're doing it anyway, just like they did last generation. So shout out to you guys, man. I love your opinions. You're always right. Love you guys. Anyway, I'm sorry. I had to get that out there because
understandable.
What the fuck, bro? Like,
it is absolutely true.
Here it is. Hello.
Here's the PS5 Pro, and it is when did the wait, hold up. PS5 release when? Hold on, let's check.
2020.
2020, right? So 2020, the PS5 release. It is 2024, and these leaks are like these are super leaks.
Bro,
we've had leaks before, but these are super leaks.
We already knew it was coming, whether it was this year or next year.
I'm
the
pretty
PS4
sure
Pro
wind it back,
and the Xbox, what was it? The Xbox One X did pretty well, considering they weren't like quote unquote next gen consoles, but they were like the refresh, right? But apparently, Microsoft was talking about some shit. They want the next I don't know if it's gonna be a next gen console or the Xbox refresh, but they said they want to make that shit fucking mind-blowingly powerful. So it's like, are these even mid-gen refreshes anymore? Like, or are they just straight up, you know what I mean? This might as well just be like a next gen console from the shit that I'm looking at.
Well, I mean, according to the stats, yeah, it's actually crazy because apparently it's supposed to be what, like 8K, 45% faster.
Yeah, but
let's run down the specs. I think 8K is a dream. I think they're dropping that because they dropped.
I think it's bullshit. I think it's just a marketing thing.
Yeah, they dropped 8K. They dropped 8K on the box of PS5, right? They dropped it on the PS5, and there's actually one game that actually runs in 8K 60 FPS. I was talking about this with Despair a while ago, but it literally looks like Roblox. Like,
yeah.
But so look, it looks great. Hey, it runs well, but that's the only game that runs on 8K on PS5 right now. But with that being said, the
coolest thing is whatever their branded upscaling shit is. There's the super resolution upscaling, whatever their patented thing is. I'm interested in that because man, these consoles need that shit, bro. Like, especially after, I don't know if you've been keeping up with Dragon's Dogma, the console version, but apparently that shit is rough, man. It's an unlocked frame rate.
I heard it's unlocked 30, but it might not even hit 30.
But it barely even hovers above 30. That's crazy. That shit's gonna feel terrible. That's gonna be like Bloodborne. Like,
yeah. And people love Bloodborne though.
I love it, but I'm not gonna, man, get the fuck out of here.
Look, if we're gonna talk about FPS, there's a lot of people who still can't see the difference between 30 and 60.
And I cannot absolutely believe you are blind.
I know.
But anyway.
I know. They have to be blind. But with that being said, let's go through these specs. The leaked documents confirm that rendering is 45% faster on the PS5, 2 to 3 times more ray tracing, 4 times in some cases. I don't even know what that means, but
that's wild.
Yeah, that is wild compared to like what GPUs are doing. But with that being said, like, it's just like ray tracing is kind of one of those things where like it's great when it runs well, but if it affects performance, I'd rather turn it off. 33.5 teraflops, which is comparable to 4070 right now, I think, which is great. That's a great leap. PSRR, so this is PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution Upscaling, is what you were alluding to, Despair, which is their upscaling anti-aliasing solution. And then they have support for resolutions up to 8K planned, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes. That's not really important. That's just buzzword. Custom machine learning architecture. And here's what's interesting. An AI accelerator supporting 300 tops of 8-bit computation, 67 teraflops, and 16-bit floating point. I think that's the super interesting part of it, because this is more so like, this is their future proofing. this is how they're trying to future-proof this console into the early generation of the following one.
None of that shit means anything until we see how the actual games perform when this shit drops. But that's still pretty damn crazy for 4 years into the life cycle of the shit, right? This is supposed to be a PS5 Pro, and look,
it's a massive jump.
I've spoke about this shit so many times. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Like, I've said it multiple times. It's coming out this year. Like, here it is. We know it's coming out this year, or maybe early next year. Who knows? I'm pretty sure it'll be this year. But this generation, every generation, I feel needs this, because we can't go 6 years, 7 years, and with consoles anymore. With how
fast,
with how PC, quick, PC technology. Not even just PC, but how some of these games
technology in general.
Some of these games are literally outpacing the machines, and you see that when, oh man, in the beginning, everything had to be 60 FPS, right? Have a performance mode that ran the game at 60 FPS. Now games can barely even do that. Dragon's Dogma just gave up on it entirely. Just here, 30 FPS, that's it. There's no performance mode on console, nothing, right? FF7 Rebirth has a performance mode, but you can tell, like, the resolution is a little bit on the lower side. You can tell it's a little blurry. They said they're gonna fix that, but we clearly need to have newer consoles or newer or updated consoles every few years, bro. There's no way, if they want things to keep up with the current technology, right? Like, I just it happens every time. Like, whenever a new console comes out and they throw out these buzzwords in your ear, like, yeah, we want every game to run at 60 FPS, blah blah blah. That's easy to do in the beginning, but then as the devs get more accustomed to how the system works, right? They start trying to push it, like Unreal 5, all these new engines. They start trying to push the fucking boundaries of the console and what it can do, and then we're back at 30 FPS again. And to everyone saying you can't see the difference, I don't care about y'all. Like, y'all go sit in your little corner or whatever and wait for the conversation to end. But to the people that actually have working eyeballs, that shit sucks, man. Like, I don't want to go from you selling me 60 FPS to buy this $500 or $400 console, and then it can't even do that in 3-4 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, because think about it, right? You have people that still don't have a PS5, and they might get one this year or next year, right? And now they have the option. now they have the option. Yeah, shut up. Now they have the option to get a PS5 Pro, right? Which is better than the original shit. So they really didn't miss out, right? If I didn't get a PS5 and I see a PS5 Pro drop at the end of this year, shit, I know what I'm getting. You know what I mean? They said it's what, $600? Whatever, worth it for me.
Bro, it's
like,
super
if I
interesting.
can play the games that I'm already playing, better, and then be more, I don't want to say future proof because I hate that term, but at least you know the stuff that's going to come out for the next, until the end of the console generation, you'll be all right? I remember when the PS4 Pro dropped, a lot of people were like, man, that's a waste of money, but I'm like, yeah, okay. The PS4 Pro wasn't that great compared to how, like, the Xbox One X was, right? The Xbox One X was crazy, but it was still better, shit, way better than the original PS4. That base PS4, bro, I went and I played some games back on that shit, and that shit was horrible. I'm sorry, man. If it wasn't how loud that shit got, bro, that game, I don't know how, like, look, whatever. I know a lot of people had the PS4, base PS4, but y'all was struggling, bro. I'm sorry.
Bro, I never upgraded from my base PS4.
I had it.
Yeah, y'all was struggling. I don't know how y'all did that. I couldn't do it. After I played FF, what was it, 15? Nah, it was FF 15 and FF 14. There were hella games that I played, and I would, like, compare, and I was like, oh my god, this is fucking horrible, bro. Like, I remember PS4, base PS4 could barely even run FF 14. And even in the dungeons, the shit would drop. and then at least even PS4 Pro had, like, you know, some little upgrades or whatever visually, whether it was visually or performance. But yeah, I'll take the upgrade whenever I can get it, bro. I don't even care if it's small. Like, this is crazy to me. These specs seem dope, right? But even if it was less than this, I would still want it because I like having what's better than what I have.
Yeah.
Because I'm a PC guy, right? So I like knowing that, okay, I'm gonna buy this, it's an upgrade, games are gonna perform better, they're gonna look better, boom. I don't care if they look better, personally. I care if they perform better, but that's just me.
Yes.
Like, I don't give a fuck. Because if that was me, I would play games in 30 FPS mode with the 4K visual. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Sorry. Like,
I agree. At this point in time, I'll play all my games. I don't care how far I have to lower the settings on PC or anything. If I can get them running consistently over 60 FPS, that's what I'm doing.
30 FPS makes me sick now. Like, I look at it literally makes me dizzy. Like, I can't look at it anymore.
I don't know how people do it. I mean, if that's all you got, that's all you got. I mean, more power to you. But like,
look, some people don't know better, and some people don't care, right? Because we were all at that point where before we were like PC heads, right, or whatever, didn't care, just played. Like, bro, we all played. Well, we played Bloodborne, right? I played Bloodborne without a care in the world. I didn't give a fuck. I loved it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I didn't know better. I had no idea. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then now, I can't even touch that game. And that's like one of my favorite games of all time. And I can't even touch that game until they give me an update or something, because that shit just painful. Can't do it.
You know what's interesting too? There's some games that still run super well at 30. But the difference is that these games run consistently, frame timing at 30 locked, right? Like that's a huge difference, right? Because there's some games that don't even hit 30 or have stutter skips. Like, because if you look at like
games that are 30 FPS have like frame time issues, the majority of them do.
But if you're looking at like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, those are games
that doesn't count. When I'm talking about Nintendo stuff, because Nintendo apparently is able to make games that aren't shit.
They got some black magic going on, bro. That's why I'm bringing it up. This is look, it's some black magic at 30 FPS. It literally is voodoo. And those games, listen,
I'm gonna incriminate myself.
We're not gonna shit on 30 FPS games because like those games are god.
I'm not. You know why?
No.
Because I'm gonna incriminate myself, and one of my favorite things to think about when I think about 30 FPS not being that bad, when it's done right.
Yes, yeah,
right?
When it's done right, yeah, that's the qualifier.
Emulate. I have a Simu, right? The Wii U emulator, whatever. Sorry, Nintendo. Anyway, I played Wind Waker, the Wind Waker HD or whatever it's called, and I'm thinking, you know, okay, I'm gonna emulate it. I'm gonna make that shit run at 60 FPS. Okay, you can't run the game at 60 FPS even on the emulator. But when I first booted it up, I didn't even notice. I was like, wait a minute, this isn't 60. This shit feels like it. It's because smooth frame times, locked 30 FPS.
Frame time locked 30
right?
FPS can
the games
really
like animation wise doesn't really like. There are games that can run well in 30 FPS and look fine because of just like how animations are done, right? Like, what's a good game? Even FF7 when it came out on PS4, that wasn't that. It wasn't that bad. Like,
actually,
this is gonna be trash, and it wasn't that bad. It definitely has some issues though, but it wasn't that bad. Now, obviously, Rebirth comes out. We have the performance mode, and then I look at that compared to the 30 FPS mode. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But that wasn't that bad either. So when it's done right, man, whatever. But how many times is 30 FPS done right? Like, I'm gonna bring up Dragon's Dogma again. How do you have an unlocked frame rate, but the frame rate doesn't even go above 35 apparently? What's the point of having an unlocked frame rate? Just lock it at 30. What the fuck? That makes zero sense to me.
I think it's because locking it I think they got so much negative heat because it's like locking it at 30. Everyone's like, oh, it's only at 30. Like,
you guys said
only
60.
at 30 anyway.
Yeah.
It's never gonna hit 60 unless you're looking at a wall or some shit.
60, I don't
like,
even
go
think they're
turn your camera to a wall. Oh, look, it's 60, guys.
I don't even think they're releasing the game with a performance mode on PS5, right?
No, there is no performance mode. It's just straight up 30 unlocked.
I think maybe eventually. I think down the line.
PS5 Pro.
No, I think down
at 60 FPS.
I think down the line they're going, because if we haven't gotten into this yet. But I think if you looked at the debug menu that was in the Spider-Man, the hot fix that they did, whatever patch they did, that they accidentally put a debug menu in. If you look at the Digital Foundry video, Insomniac was really doing some heavy black magic there to maintain a 60 FPS on performance mode with ray tracing, where
that's crazy.
When you're in motion and when you're in super fast motion, those resolutions, of course, you don't even fucking notice while you're playing, right? Exactly. It's pulling the wool over your eyes, and you don't even notice. They're super low. And I think if Capcom does something like that with Dragon's Dogma, we'll get a performance mode, right? But it's gonna be, it's gonna be way later. They're not prioritizing that right now. This is gonna be later.
Gonna run this shit at 60 or something.
Yeah, PS5 Pro is gonna run it at 60. They're gonna have when they release that patch, they're gonna have PS5. They're gonna have a patch for PS5 2 months before PS5 Pro that runs it at 60. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna do all that, right? Like, it's because optimization's coming.
Ran just as bad.
Exactly. They're not prioritizing it because they're prioritizing a launch. They're gonna prioritize performance and optimization post launch because they want people to play it. You know.
That's not how you do it.
No, I get it. That shouldn't
be how you do it.
That shouldn't be how you do it. But that's
we haven't had that
really
for a while.
What it's been. Yeah.
Every key release on consoles has had a performance mode in it. There's no excuse. Like, I want to know what their reasoning is. There's literally no excuse to not have a performance mode in this game. Straight up. Unless they patch, it comes out on Friday, right?
Day one
unless
patch,
they
maybe?
patch it in.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe.
They could patch it in day one or a month later.
But that doesn't seem like something you would want to hold until day one. You would want people to know that there's a performance mode in the game. Like, you wouldn't just hold that. That's kind of
I wouldn't doubt that they're working on it and they would want to release it, but they also don't want to announce that they're going to release it if it's not ready. You know what I mean? They don't seem the type.
It's a shame, but that's exactly why I'm not playing that shit on console.
Hey, I mean, I'm playing that shit on PC. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care how far I have to lower the settings because if you're looking at high to medium settings on a PC,
man, that shit gonna have FSR 3 and shit.
It don't even look that bad. Yeah. It's gonna have DLSS actually. I think I heard.
Yeah, I'm gonna just use FSR 3.
I think you heard.
I ain't got a 4000 series GP.
I think I heard DLSS is standard now for that one.
Yeah, it has both. It has all the new shit. DLSS 3 and FSR 3. I know what I'm using.
I mean, looking forward to it.
A good question is, follow you buying that the PS5 Pro?
PSF?
I mean,
PSF.
I mean, look, if I'm ever going to do it, it would be with that. If I'm ever,
if you don't, I don't want to hear nothing about you not having no PS ever again. If Rebirth Part 3 comes out and it's PS exclusive, you don't have one, I don't want to hear shit. Yeah, shut the hell up. Oh, crap. For now, it's time to do it. Like, get a damn PS5 Pro and stop being a bitch.
Man, it's just that. But then, you know what it is? We get the PS5 Pro, and then they're gonna announce the PS6 like in a year or two from now.
Nah, I give it 3 years.
3 to 4.
And then, you know, the other thing about it too, we're getting pretty close to the year of 2025, which for me is the year of a brand new PC. So it's like,
a brand new PC that can't play Rebirth because it's not out yet.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, well, if you think about it,
I made it through the month. I'll be all right.
Once you make it through the initial release, it doesn't matter after that.
If you put aside the $500 to $600 for the PS5 Pro, as opposed to a PC upgrade, well, if you think about the PC upgrade, you're putting way more. So if you're already saving, you got that money to put in. That's what I'm gonna take the PS. If the PS5 Pro comes out, this might be the first Pro iteration that I get. Because I'm just going to take aside that money that I've been saving for PC upgrades and be like, well, I'll just get that because by the time the PC upgrades that I want come out, I'll be able to refill that. I'll be able to replenish that money.
Yeah, I just think about all the games that are going to come out on PS that aren't going to be on PC for a year or two. And I don't feel like waiting. I also don't feel like waiting with a very inferior version of the game. At least I'll have a slightly less inferior version of the game with the PS5 Pro.
True.
You also know what it is for me. It's like I've been distracted by so many games that I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
you can wait. Yeah, it don't matter. Yeah.
It really don't matter to me, right? Like it's like, oh yeah, right now I would be bummed about not playing Final Fantasy, right? But then Dragon Dogma.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, you got Dragon's Dogma, Stellar come out next month. You got hella shit. Oh wait, you can't play that.
That's so.
It's all right. I'm gonna have Dragon's Dogma.
I'm sorry.
Dragon's Dogma is definitely in there. Unicorn Overlord. There's several games that are
Princess
out right
Peach
now.
Showtime about to be Game of the Year, baby.
Yeah. There's so many games that are out that can hold you over.
Yo, play the demo. That shit is dope. I fuck with it.
No. I'm just gonna get the game.
Yeah. Oh, that's Friday too. Yeah, that's this Friday.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully everyone else can be held over in waiting for the next episode of the podcast, because we will be checking back with you guys next week. But thank you guys for tuning in. Check us out on TikTok. Check us out on Spotify. We mainly post on YouTube and Spotify, but you can also check us out on iTunes. We are available on all major platforms. Be sure to hang out. Leave your comment. We love your comments, actually. No matter how
love them,
asinine they might be, we love the comments. We love looking at them. I love looking at them and laughing at them when I'm on the toilet, to be honest. And then I shit on you as I post my replies. But no. Aside from that, check us out, guys. Stay tuned. We always got more content coming at you, and we'll check you out next week.